This isn't the glamorous Vietnam with its skyscrapers. This is a completely different perspective. An ancient market right in the heart of the city, where time seems to have stood still for decades. Chaotic, old-fashioned, yet incredibly vibrant. Join me as we stroll through these hidden corners, enjoy a fresh coconut for less than $1, and discover the real life of the Vietnamese people. Hello everyone. This afternoon, I want to take you to a place that I believe embodies the truest soul of any city in Vietnam. An old market located right in the heart of the city. In the West, you're used to shopping in supermarkets where everything is perfectly packaged and quiet. But in Vietnam, real life unfolds right on the street like this. Cultural perspective. Vietnamese people have a habit of motorbike shopping. This means you just pull over, buy a bunch of vegetables or some meat, and leave immediately without needing to park. It creates a bustling, sometimes chaotic atmosphere in the eyes of foreigners, but it's a convenient and authentic local feature. Look at the stalls with their fresh fruits and vegetables, the baskets of still red meat and fish displayed right next to the road. Everything here is consumed within the day. People wake up at 3 to 4 in the morning to collect goods from the docks and sell them until sunset. Wow, did you see that? A fish just jumped straight out of the basin. This unexpected moment is the clearest answer to the term fresh in a traditional Vietnamese market. Just look at this small stall. Even though it's just a corner of the sidewalk, the amount of seafood is incredibly abundant, like a miniature ocean. We have all kinds of sea fish, freshwater fish, and then there are shrimp and prawns still wriggling. Next to them are baskets of fresh snails, clams and oysters just harvested from the sea this morning. The vendors only need plastic basins and aluminum tubs arranged side by side, plus a few small oxygen pumps to have a ready-to-serve stall. For foreigners, the sight of a fish jumping out onto the street might be a bit strange, but for Vietnamese people, it's a sign of a delicious and high-quality dinner. If this is your first time in Vietnam, the first thing that strikes you in markets like these is the sensory overload. You'll hear the honking of motorbikes mixed with the calls of vendors, the chopping of meat and fish on wooden cutting boards, and smell the aroma of herbs like basil and sawtooth coriander mingling with the characteristic dampness of an open-air market. It may look chaotic and disorganized, but in reality, it operates according to a very orderly unspoken rule. Each vendor has a few square meters of territory on the sidewalk or street, and buyers simply glide past on motorbikes, creating a continuous, uninterrupted flow. Approaching the corner inside the market, I was drawn to a typical Vietnamese grocery store. From afar, it looked like a giant, colorful jigsaw puzzle, yet tinged with the passage of time due to the worn wooden shelves and faded walls. This shop must have stood at this corner for decades, all crammed into a space of just over 10 square meters. Just look at how they arrange the goods. It's truly an art of organization. Right on the sidewalk, stalls selling inexpensive clothes are lined up side by side next to a brightly colored fruit stand. And just a few steps away is a basket of fresh fish wriggling in the water, along with other seafood and vegetables. Every need of daily life, from dressing well to eating well, is condensed onto a stretch of road only a few dozen meters long. But what caught my attention most in this corner was a hair and nail salon. From the outside, the shop looked very old, its sign faded with age, and its architecture strongly reminiscent of previous decades. However, looking through the faded glass, the lights were still on inside, and the staff were meticulously styling hair and painting nails for customers. For Westerners, beauty treatments are often associated with luxurious, quiet, and secluded spas. But here, people can go to the market to buy vegetables and fish, then conveniently stop by a familiar salon right on the street to get their hair done. It lacks the extravagance, but is filled with the intimacy and maximum convenience of street life. Right next to the salon is an equally old clothing and fabric shop. Stacks of fabrics in various patterns and materials are piled high from floor to ceiling in a dark, time-worn space. These old fabric shops and salons are like historical witnesses, preserving a part of the city's old memory, a stark contrast to the hustle and bustle of traffic outside. There's a significant difference in food culture that I want to share with you. Foreigners often go to the supermarket once a week, buying frozen goods and storing them in the refrigerator. But in Vietnam, most families, especially the older generation, go to the market every day, sometimes even twice a day, once in the morning and once in the late afternoon like this. The concept of fresh here is defined very strictly. Vegetables must be freshly picked from the garden this morning. Fish must still be swimming in the water, and pork and beef must be freshly slaughtered on the same day, never frozen. Vietnamese people believe that only fresh ingredients retain the natural sweetness and highest nutritional value for family meals. That's why open-air stalls, even if they look old and worn, are always the number one choice for people instead of air-conditioned convenient supermarkets. There are many stalls inside the market, but since I went in the afternoon, most of them had moved out to sell their goods along the sides of the road. Only a few fixed stalls remained open all day like this. Vietnamese markets often have parking lots outside like this. Market goers who want to be safe can park their vehicles here. The parking fee is about 2 to 3 cents per parking session. This is a store selling various types of dried rice paper, all of which are made from rice flour. Look closely at the faces of the vendors here. Most of them are middle-aged women or older ladies. They sit on very low plastic stools, only about 10 centimeters from the ground, surrounded by dozens of baskets of goods. They can sit like that for 10 to 12 hours a day, regardless of scorching sun or pouring rain. In Vietnam, the image of a woman is associated with the kitchen and afternoon markets. These women at this central market are not just selling goods. They are supporting their families, raising their children, and sending them to school with the meager earnings from selling vegetables and fruits. There is a great resilience and patience hidden behind the cheerful smiles you see on screen. Venturing deeper into these narrow passageways, you'll distinctly sense a unique aroma, the smell of long-stored fabrics, the scent of decaying wood, and a faint fragrance of incense. The architecture here bears the mark of decades past, with high roofs now stained and weathered by smoke and dust, and prefabricated concrete ventilation windows covered in grime. In the secluded corners, the afternoon sunlight can only filter through small gaps. Items, plastic baskets, and empty cardboard boxes are stacked upon each other to form makeshift walls. But for those who sit here every day, it represents their entire lives. A question many foreign tourists often wonder about is, in this age of technology, when people can buy everything online or go to cool shopping malls, why do these old, somewhat messy stalls, full of uncleaned household waste, still exist? The answer lies in their loyal customer base. Most of the people who come here to buy fabric or hair clips are long-time regulars. They don't just come to buy goods, they come to chat. The stall owners here are mostly elderly. They are not tech savvy, but they cling to this market not only for their livelihood, but also out of habit. Sitting here, watching the stream of people, even though the market is quieter in the afternoon than before, gives them a feeling of belonging to a community, an inseparable part of this city's history. As you can see, the piles of clutter and peeling walls look rather messy through the camera lens, but if you look closer, you'll see order within that very mess. Every needle, every thread, every meter of fabric has its place clearly remembered by the owner. After navigating these narrow, stuffy, and time-worn passageways, I began to feel a little suffocated and short of air. It was time for me to step back into the outside world, where the sunlight was fading and street vendors were beckoning, hoping to find something to quench my thirst.
Quay mấy cái trái cây.
The afternoon was still quite humid, and I came across a fruit stall and a cart overflowing with fresh coconuts. I decided to stop, buy one, and enjoy it right there.
Hả? Em muốn luôn. Chặt muốn luôn.
Watch how she cut the coconut. Just 3 or 4 precise strokes with a large knife, a straw inserted, and you have a perfect, naturally refreshing drink. This coconut cost 18,000 Vietnamese dong, equivalent to about $0.71, less than $1. For less than $1, what do you get in Vietnam? A super fresh, preservative-free fruit juice, served with the hospitable smile of an ordinary working person. That's why so many foreigners love the low cost of living and the generosity of Vietnamese street food.
Cái gì bị bự ghê cô? Cái gì vậy?
This market has stood here for decades. Its walls are covered in moss, and the small, wooden stalls have faded in color. You might find some corners of this market quite messy, with piles of goods and even uncleaned household waste. This is the reality of old markets that haven't been redeveloped. It's not as modern or glittering as shopping malls, but to me, this oldness has its own unique beauty, the beauty of tireless labor. The stall owners here may have dedicated their entire youth to these stalls, passing them down from generation to generation. There are many stalls inside the market, but since I went in the afternoon, most of them had moved out to sell their goods along the sides of the road. Only a few fixed stalls remained open all day like this. There are many kinds of fresh fish here, just caught from the sea, and the vendors are quickly preparing them for customers, which is very convenient. This is a stall selling fermented fish sauce and dried seafood. Various types of seafood that have been sun-dried or ground into powder and seasoned or soaked in fish sauce, marinated with spices or salt to make them salty for long-term storage without spoilage. They can be grilled, stewed, or fried and are very delicious.
Cảm ơn cô ạ.
After strolling around for a while, I was getting hungry. Right on the edge of the market, I found a small eatery with just a few low plastic tables and chairs close to the ground. This place sells pork skin noodle soup and has been here for over 20 years. You heard that right. A steaming bowl of noodle soup with a sweet broth made from bones, chewy and crispy pork skin, fragrant scallions, and it only costs 10,000 Vietnamese dong. That's equivalent to about $0.40. An unbelievable price in 2026. These kinds of eateries don't cater to wealthy tourists. They serve the market workers themselves. Porters, vegetable vendors, motorbike taxi drivers. A quick, energizing, and extremely economical meal to help them continue their livelihoods.
Đi cho chị vui á chứ view ở đâu? Bên cạnh bên kia có bây giờ ở đây là nói chung là không có được anh. Có bánh xì nhỏ, có xì nhỏ, bên đây có chè.
As the sun sets, the market enters its final peak of the day. People returning from work stop by to buy dinner. The honking of cars, the haggling, the laughter and chatter create a vibrant street symphony. Many might wonder, why, in a modern city with air-conditioned supermarkets, do people still prefer this somewhat old-fashioned and crowded market? The answer lies in human connection. Here, buyers and sellers can learn each other's names, inquire about each other's families, and offer each other a sprig of green onion or a chili pepper. It's a kind of human connection that barcode scanners in supermarkets can never provide.
đầu này bán hết rồi.
Because the city I live in is near the sea. The seafood here is very fresh and there's a wide variety of it. I love eating seafood, but I didn't have enough money to buy any today, so I just did a review and left.
Cái này chú luôn hả ông bà? Chú quê vụ xứ. Dạ.
Thank you for joining me on this video today. I hope this video has given you a more authentic, unembellished perspective on the daily lives of people in Vietnam. And if you enjoyed the video, please support me with a cup of coffee or hit the like and subscribe buttons so I have the motivation to maintain this YouTube channel and create more exciting videos. See you in the next videos in this series. Bye bye.